Hi, I'm Joni Patry, and welcome to my YouTube channel. Well, today I'm going to talk about the last week in November. And so what I'm looking at is November 22nd through the 30th. And with this, I have a lot to talk about. A lot is going on this week, especially with Mercury going retrograde. We're going to talk about that in great detail. And so looking at this week, what I'm doing is I'm looking at where the moon is specifically, because day by day, that really does determine the feel and the sense of what's going on in the world. And you can apply that personally to yourself as how these days are affecting you. Now, I always want to say this: if you want greater detail of how this can apply to you personally, go to my galactic planner. It will calculate your birth chart and take all that what I'm doing with all these transits and apply it to your birth chart. And all of these predictions will be delivered into your personal calendar. Exactly what each day is good for in your personal life. So go to galacticplanner.com. Also, sign up for my free newsletter. You'll get all of these predictions written out, delivered to your email address every week. And while you're there, don't forget to join my Patreon. Become part of a community, and we'll work deeper on more levels. So with that, let's get going. We need to talk about this last week, November 22nd through the 30th. So I am looking at November 22nd, and the moon is in Leo, early Leo, and it's in the nakshatra Magha. Magha deals with our heritage. It deals with our forefathers. So a lot of times when the moon is here, we start thinking about our roots and where we came from. Somehow something comes up within the day about this. And with the moon being here, you're going to find that Mars is 12th from the moon. So a lot of old things from the past, rehashing things, emotional things are going to be arising throughout this day. And I'm looking at K2 in the second house from the moon. So what that means is there's some issues around family that you need to look into, something that's possibly come up you've got to work on. And the Sun and Mercury do go to the fourth house. So it just keeps coming up, family, family, family. Now, Venus is in the fifth house here in Sagittarius. So this is a time of creativity that you're going to be much more creative. And with Jupiter being 10th from the moon, this is fantastic for anything to do with your work and your career. And if you're wondering when to ask for that raise or connect with your boss or expand your own business, this is the day to start thinking about it. The moon in Leo is very progressive. Now I'm looking at November 23rd. On the 23rd, the moon is right smack dab in the middle of Leo in the nakshatra Purva Phalguni. Purva Phalguni is a nakshatra of good things. It's about, really, it's a time to relax too. This is a very creative nakshatra, and with Venus being in the fifth house from the moon, yes, it's time to be more into the creative arts, anything where you create, such as writing, drawing, painting, or even devising a business. You know, the fifth house, I look at it as a house that deals with creating businesses, which is entrepreneurs. This is what it's about. Or even investing. Venus is in the fifth house from the moon. But Saturn's opposed the moon. This is a heavy time. It's not a time to really get down and get in an argument with your partner, with Saturn 7th from the moon. So it could be that your partner, actually it probably just means your partner's not there for you, whether that means emotionally or physically. That's what it means. So now I'm looking at November 24th, and the moon has shifted into the latter part of Leo towards the evening, late evening. It will leave Leo and go into Virgo. But while it's still half the day in Leo, it is in the nakshatra called Purva Phalguni. No, Uttara Falguni, I'm sorry, Uttara Falguni, and the moon being here. This is actually a good nakshatra for friendship, come together with people. And the moon has pretty much passed that opposition with Saturn. So it's starting to feel a little lighter, not as heavy. And there's stuff going on with family still, with Ketu in the second and the sun in the fourth from the moon. So you're having to address some things concerning family matters, and this is important. But it is a great day still for creative talents and things of that nature. Mars in the 12th, things are being dredged up from the past. This can also go globally for what's going on in the world too. November 25th, the moon is in Virgo. And it is, when I'm looking at it, right after noontime or so, the moon will be exactly with Ketu. This can deal with some losses out there going on in the world, and we're feeling a sense of loss. Things are not right in the world. And let me say this is the day that Mercury turns retrograde. So, you know, the day that it turns retrograde is the day that things kind of go haywire, because it changes directions. Therefore, people change their mind in many respects. So be aware of that. Plus, Mercury, while it's turning retrograde, is Gandanta, 27 degrees of Scorpio. Let me remind you of that. People are pretty much not thinking in their right mind. They're pretty much changing their mind, and it's confusion, and people are over the top with emotions. Something big is happening globally in the world, I feel, especially with the moon being tied up with Rahu and Ketu. And the moon with Ketu represents loss. And the moon in Virgo is in Mercury's sign, and Mercury's turning retrograde. This is the day that things are turning around, and things will be very different, I believe, from this day forward. So going to November 26th, the moon is still in Virgo. It's already crossed over Ketu, but it's in the nakshatra Hasta. Hasta is an intense intellectual nakshatra. It deals with grasping ideas and holding on to things. So the moon, as it's crossed over Ketu, people feel a loss, but they're trying to grasp at things and keep things together. Mercury is now retrograde, and it is, people are confused with what they're thinking and what's going on in the world. This is a crazy time. Now, Venus is in the fourth house from the moon, and it is exactly fourth from the moon. So this means it's time to decorate, fix up things in your home. It might even be, now that we got it on the other side of Ketu, a nice time to go look for a car. Redecorate, beautify the home, maybe even go visit your mother, if that's a good thing. But I'll tell you something else. Friends will be difficult to deal with, as Mars is in the 11th house from the moon. The 11th house deals with friends. Mars debilitated there. You might have some arguments with some friends. Be aware, stay away. November 27th, the moon is in Libra, and it is in the nakshatra Chitra, bright shining one. And that's a very powerful nakshatra, but we're closing into the dark moon, closing into the phase where the moon is behind the sun. And this is not a good time during the moon being here in this phase to plan new things. It's a time of finishing up, bringing closure to things. And with Mercury just turned retrograde, it is a time to finish what you've started. Now, the Venus is in the third house from the moon, so it is a good time to write letters, to regress and review things. The Sun, Mercury in the second house from the moon. This is a time to reorganize and reassess your financial matters. And Jupiter does go to the 8th house from the moon, so this is a time of deep psychological work. And Mars being 10th from the moon, don't argue with your boss. It's not a good day to ask favors at work. So now I'm looking at November 28th, and the moon is in Libra. It's in the nakshatra now called Swati. Swati is all about manipulative communication. So don't let people manipulate you and what you think through their talk, their rhetoric. Now the moon is behind the sun, so therefore this is a time of endings. It's not a time of new beginnings. And Venus being in the 3rd, like I said, with Mercury being retrograde in the 2nd and Venus in the 3rd, it's time to write those letters, to review and reassess things. That's what I find this day to be good for. And like I said before, still don't ask for anything from your boss or do anything with the workplace while Mars is debilitated 10th from the moon. Now I'm looking at November 29th. The moon is in the last part of Libra, so it's closing in to the new moon, which will be in a couple of days. I think it's going to be December 1st, but it's still a dark moon. Don't start new projects now. Finish up. And towards the evening, the moon will roll into Scorpio. So that's interesting. But another thing is, while the moon is dark in Libra, it's not a time to make judgments. Moon in Libra is about making fairness, justice, judgments, but not everything will be a loss at this time. And Mars is still in the 10th house. Yeah. Everything I said before about work and psychological change, same for this day. But then towards the evening and the next day, November 30th, we do have the very, very dark moon, but at least it goes into the same sign with the sun, because on the 1st, we're going to have the full moon. New moon. But it's almost the new moon, but still lay low. The moon is in Scorpio. It's debilitated there, but it is in a parivartana with Mars again. Moon being in Mars sign and Mars being in the moon sign. And actually, that happens when the moon is in Aries too. I think I missed that. But looking at this can cancel out the debilitation, but I don't like the dark moon. So many things are going on. But the moon is opposing Jupiter, which will bring light to this situation. Possibly it's a good time to talk things out with your partners. And realize once we are on the other side of the new moon, which will be December 1st and 2nd, things will improve and get better. But it's still a Mercury retrograde time. It's time to rehash, refinish, readdress, reassess, review everything that's been going on for your own self-improvement. But this is a good time to come together with partners and partnership, even though I still say don't start anything new. While the moon is in Scorpio, Saturn's in your 4th house. Be aware that there could be some problems with your mother, or if just something's not going right in the home place. There's something that possibly could even break down in the house. So Saturn in the 4th, you don't feel comfortable at home. Things are not right. Okay? Venus is in the 2nd house from the moon, so money's not bad. Money matters are okay. And Mars is in the 9th house from the moon, which, pay attention, there could be some problems for your dad, but it will work out because of the parivartana. Things will work out okay. So that closes with the whole intense, passionately emotional An angry month of November. What a crazy time we chose to come down and be on this planet. But we're going to deal with it, and it's going to get better bit by bit. But we're in the intensity and darkness of this time right now. We'll all deal with it okay. We'll all get through this time, as always. So with that, I think I'll close. If you would like to learn more about me, go to my website, galacticcenter.org. Sign up for my free newsletter and my Patreon. Remember the Galactic Planner will put this all in perspective for you daily, as well as if you want to learn and study with me. Go to my university website, University of Vedic Astrology.com. Thank you.